All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, it's been almost 6 years since the Brooklyn Nets shocked the basketball world when both Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant agreed to play for them. Now, the acquisitions of Durant and Irving gave the Nets some validity, okay, as they were looking to have some relevance alongside the other NBA franchise that calls a Big Apple home, which is the New York Knicks. So from there, the Nets even went on to add another future Hall of Famer when they picked up James Harden and brought him into the fray. But unfortunately for Brooklyn, this trio failed to coexist and stay healthy. And before you knew it, the Nets' big experiment imploded. Now, we saw the Nets trade James Harden for Ben Simmons. That didn't work out. And then, of course, ultimately, they would trade both Durant and Irving a couple of years ago. In doing so, Brooklyn was able to come away with some draft picks and some players. And in the case of some of the players that the Nets got back for trading Irving and Durant, they were able to flip some of them into even more draft picks, which is really setting up for a very interesting summer in New York City's most populous borough. Now, this year's NBA draft is the deepest that it's been in quite some time. And for Brooklyn, they find themselves in possession of four first round picks. Now, the Nets are slotted to pick eighth overall with their own pick. They also have the 19th overall pick, courtesy of the Milwaukee Bucks, the 26th pick that they got from the Knicks last summer in the Mikal Bridges trade, and then the 27th overall pick from the Houston Rockets. In all, we're talking about Brooklyn having five of the first 36 picks in the draft next month. And more importantly, they've got a lot of options right now, which includes salary flexibility. The Nets only have $63 million committed to team salary for next season, and some of that money includes team options. So when it's all said and done, you ask yourself, would the Nets look to package some of their picks for an established player like Giannis from the Milwaukee Bucks? You've heard about it, but I really do think the Nets should, stay the course. And I'm going to elaborate on that in a little bit. But nonetheless, we're talking about a Nets team that has a slew of picks over the next several years. We talked about the four first round picks that they have next month. But between 2026 and 2031, they're slated to have 10 first round picks. But the folks that follow this team, they're really compelled to see what the Nets are going to do now. You think about it, like I said before, would they want to go out there and try to pick up a guy like Giannis? It's one of those, just talking off the top of my head, let's just say that the Nets did go out there and get Giannis for the Bucks. You're going to have to give up a lot of those picks, and you really don't have a team to put around Giannis right now either. Okay, and not only that, but making a splash has not worked in the favor of the Brooklyn Nets since they went to Brooklyn, since they came to Brooklyn. You go back, to when they first got to Brooklyn, of course, bringing in Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, who were on the downside of their respective NBA careers. You already, they gave up a lot to get Darren Williams for the Jazz, bringing in Joe Johnson, and the furthest that the Nets could go with that team was getting to the second round once. And then, of course, like I said, the Kyrie, Kevin Durant thing, which only resulted in the Nets getting to the second round once as well. So when it's all said and done, like I said, making a splash has not worked for the Nets. But hypothetically speaking, devil's advocate here, could they be compelled to try to make a move or multiple moves this summer due to the fact of, the current playoff run that we've seen and we're seeing from the New York Knicks at the time? My thing is, I could say yes, but I could also say no. And the reason why I'm gonna say yes is maybe the Nets want to try to, become relevant again. But like I said before, it hasn't worked for them. And first things first, New York, basketball wise, is always going to be a Knicks town. I don't care if the Knicks win 10 games for the season and the Nets win 60. It's still a Knicks town. Okay, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But nonetheless, you got the 9 lives of Nets general manager Sean Marks, and the reason why I say 9 lives is because Marks has been with the team now for basically almost a decade as their general manager. But what does Brooklyn really have to show for it? But a whole lot of nothing. So for me, there's a lot of questions that have to be answered for the Nets. Are they going to find a way to come out of this thing this summer and be a more respectable ball club for the fans' sake and for the franchise's sake? I hope so because for the longest time, to me, I think what has hurt the Nets organization, and it's regardless of who's calling the shots, they really don't have a plan. And then, like I said before, you can't just sit up there and just add a star player to a team and stir and mix and think it's going to work. I think what you have to do if you're the Nets, if you're going to talk about rebuilding and rebuilding through the draft and developing young guys, you've got to stick to it. And you've got to find a way to make it work. I feel like the Nets have given up on too many young players too quickly. They're a bad organization right now. They've been a bad team for quite some time. But you have to try to find a way to get ahead of this. Remember, in 2019, when Kyrie and Kevin Durant, you know, signed with the Nets as opposed to the Knicks, a lot of people laughed at the Knicks. And you look at what the Knicks have become over the last couple of years, one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. So at the end of the day, it looks like the Knicks are laughing last. But nonetheless, if you're the Nets, you have to have a plan. You've got to stick to it for the first time in a long time. So, like I said, it's really going to be interesting to see what the Nets do this summer. This is a very deep draft. And I know that the Nets aren't picking top five per se. I don't see them packaging picks to move up. But even though a couple of those picks are in the 20s, you got one in the late teens and one in number 8. I think at each stop along the way, if you're Brooklyn, you can come out of this thing with some valuable young prospects. And on top of that, you've got to stick with them. You've got to give them time. You've got to let them develop. Look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that's in the NBA Finals right now. They stayed the course. They focused on developing their young guys. It can be done, but you have to have a plan. That's something that the Nets have not had in quite some time. So, like I said before, very important summer for the Brooklyn Nets. They've got to get this right because it's not every year that you come down the pike and have the opportunity to have 4 first-round picks in the NBA draft. You've got to find a way to make it work. You've got to find a way to hit on at least 2 of those picks. So, what are the Nets going to do in next month's NBA draft, or pardon me, the NBA draft later this month? We got a couple of weeks, but only time will tell. But, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking this out. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw, please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365 that you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. And just like it is on the X, you can check me out on Instagram at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. You give me that follow, and I'll give you that follow right back. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.